In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Social Security benefits and a little bit about some of the eligibility requirements and some calculations. So in order to be eligible for Social Security, basically you have to accumulate a certain amount of quarters of coverage. So covered workers that want to get to insured status, they have to accumulate a specified number of quarters of coverage. So basically they have to earn a specified amount of money per year to earn quarters. And then if the worker has earned 40 quarters of coverage, they are considered fully insured as a worker for Social Security purposes. Now, fully insured doesn't mean that they are necessarily going to get a lot of money. It just means that they could actually receive essentially payout from like a retirement standpoint from Social Security. So basically, if you earn a specified amount of money per year, then you earn quarters. And if you earn in 40 quarters, then you can be fully insured under Social Security. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean you get a lot of money, but you'd be fully insured. So that brings us to the primary insurance amount, which starts to affect how much money you actually get. So the full retirement age is 67, and that has been true since 1960. There have been various conversations about potentially increasing that age, but as of this point, it's still 67. Now, if you retire at age 62, so you take early retirement, and so it's over age 62, but below age 67, that results in a reduced amount. So you don't get the full amount that you would otherwise receive if you waited until age 67. In order to figure out what you would receive at age 67, what they do is they calculate an average indexed monthly earnings over your highest 35 years of earnings. So basically what they do is they adjust your annual incomes relative to national average wages. And basically they use those to adjust for inflation. So they look at average annual wages over time, and they look at your income in a particular year relative to that proportion or how that's changed over time. So kind of indexing, using average wages to kind of index for inflation and things like that, basically. And essentially what they do is they look at your wages relative to that. And they use the wage for the year the worker turns 60 as the numerator in the calculation. So what they would do is, let's say you had a year from you were 30. That was one of your years that's going to be included. And so you would take the year that you turned 60 and you take the national average wage for that. And then you take that over the year that the national average wage for the year that the person was 30. You find that ratio, and then they'd multiply it times the earnings for the year the worker was 30. And they would figure out basically this average index monthly earnings figure. And then what they basically do is they take those average index monthly earnings figures over a person's working history, and then they basically take the highest 35 years of those. So if you only have 40 quarters of coverage, which would basically work out to approximately 10 years of working, then you're going to have a lot of zeros in the calculation because they're going to use the highest 35 years. And so you would have essentially a lot of zeros in that calculation if you only had 10 years. So to get more money, you need to have more years of working history associated with it. And then basically what they're going to do is they're going to take that average index monthly earnings, so AIME. They're going to take that, they're going to apply it to this primary insurance amount formula. And so they have this whole formula of how that number, the AIME, translates into basically a primary insurance amount. And they do adjust that due to for cost of living. And so they kind of adjust the amounts that are in that formula for cost of living. And so then basically that's how you get to this primary insurance amount that's going to be linked to the payouts you actually receive. Now, for survivors benefits only apply to basically currently insured workers. And so for currently insured workers, basically those are workers that have worked 6 quarters out of the previous 13. And so basically what that kind of is referring to is under the survivors benefits aspect of the program, the person has to have been working sufficiently recently in order for the survivors benefits to be applicable to whoever survived. So they have to have 6 quarters out of the previous 13 in order for survivors benefits to apply. Now, For the beneficiaries, you can have basically if you have a disabled insured worker under age 65. So they're insured, they're covered, but then they become disabled, they're under 65, they can be a beneficiary. You can have a retired insured worker, and they can retire at 62 or over, but to get the full amount, they need to wait till 67 under current law. A qualifying spouse, so a qualifying spouse can receive benefits, so it's kind of a spousal benefit. Um, Children underage. So if they're underage children, then that actually qualifies or can qualify as well. And there is a link to basically the spouse as well, and kind of the spouse's status as well for that. And then there are various disability related categories. So a disabled child of a covered worker, I believe they may actually be eligible for benefits for a longer period of time, things like that. So the various kind of quirks that come into play if disabilities are involved. Interestingly, also dependent parents of an insured worker. So if the parents are considered to be a dependent of the insured worker, then they can potentially be beneficiaries as well. And there are a variety of other, kind of subcategories and categories and nuances to all that. But as a broad overview, generally it's not just the worker that's covered. There are some coverages that kind of span out to cover the worker's family typically. So your spouse, children, disabled children, possibly even dependent parents, and so forth. So you kind of have to look at the specifics of exactly how that will work. But that's basically the idea. All right, so hopefully this is kind of brief overview of a little bit of kind of where some of the Social Security kind of insurance amounts are kind of coming from, what they're derived from, and kind of a little bit of an idea about kind of who might qualify as beneficiaries has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.